Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani, and today it's time to talk about the end of the year. It's a really gloomy day today, so it's definitely going to challenge me when editing to make sure the colors are not overly gloomy, but it definitely shows that winter is coming because it's getting cold, it's windy, and it's raining a little bit. So it's just a perfect time to talk about all things end of the year. So this is the end of the year book tag, so just to talk about what I'm still planning on reading and all of that. And I'm just looking at the questions now and I thought there were more. There are like 6 questions only, so let's jump right into it. The first question is, are there any books that you started that you still need to finish? The only book that I started and I set it aside and I still do want to finish it, but I'm not sure now if it's going to be this year, is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I stopped on page 290 and it's almost halfway through, like pretty much halfway through, and I was enjoying it, but I just got distracted with other books, with other things, and I never finished it, so I still do need to finish it. But I'm not sure if I will be able to do that this year still. It would be nice, because it started, and I don't want to forget everything that I read. But this is the only one that I'm like halfway through, otherwise I don't think so. Yeah, that's the only one. Second question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I never know when I'm answering this tag, if it means like a book that I read every year during this time. If that's the case, no, I don't reread the same book, autumnal book, to transition to the end of the year. But I did read a few more thrillers and horrors lately, because like we get started like the spooky season and like just getting into this vibe, and it feels like the right vibe to read those type of books. But if you want a recommendation for a really cool book to get ready for the winter season, especially if you live somewhere that it snows, is Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. This is pretty much like middle, like full-on winter book, so it's also fun to read during winter, but I think it just gives you that vibe to get you ready for snow in the creepiest way possible. So it fits everything. It is a thriller horror-ish at some points, but it's also very snowy, so I think it's a good vibe for one of these gloomy days like today. The next one is there a new release you're still waiting for? And yes, I just posted a video recently about all the new releases from October, November, and December. That sounds super cool, so all of those, not all of them, a few have already come out in October, but a bunch of them have still to come out this year. But I think the main one is Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. That's the one that I would love to be able to fit and read it this year because it's the final book in the series, but also Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree, because that one, that type of cozy fantasy, is definitely another one that's great for the gloomy days. The fourth question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I don't think I can pick only 3. I literally just mentioned 2. I think the main thing and what is going to consume my reading and my talking on my channel for a little bit is SPFBO books. I'm going to read all the finalists on SPFBO, and that's definitely going to consume my reading, and those are 10 books. I don't know if I'm going to read all of them before the end of the year, but for sure 3 of them I am going to by the end of the year. But you have to subscribe and keep an eye on which ones those will be. But I'm going to put here on the screen all the ones that have already been announced by the time that I'm filming this video. But by the end of October, all 10 are going to be announced. So we'll see what I'm going to get to by the end of the year. Next question is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? That is hard. My favorite books of the year so far are probably Trash, Yumi, The Will of the Many. I think those are the main ones. For the ones that I had already planned to read, I don't know if any of them could shock me and become my favorite. But the ones that could, because I wasn't planning, they weren't necessarily like in the list of books that I was planning to read, are the SPFBO finalists. SPFBO starts with 300 books, so I had no idea what was going to be a finalist, and now that they're being announced, there's some that sound amazing. So for sure some of them could shock me and become my favorite of the year, but I really mostly don't know what to expect on them because we don't have a lot of reviews, and that's the whole point of it, to get these books seen and talked about. So one or more of those could definitely still shock me and become my favorite, but I would have no idea which one. And the last question, and this video is going to be very short, have you already started making reading plans for the next year? Not exactly reading plans, although the books, the finalists that I don't finish this year, I'm going to continue reading in the beginning of the year. But I did start making Patreon plans for next year. We are going to have on Patreon a readathon happening right at the end of the year. That's probably going to go until like the first few days of January. But also for the whole year, I have something planned in sort of like a reading challenge that I'm not going to say more at this point. But if you want to check it out and if you want to know more, I'm going to leave the link is always in the description so you can check it. But those are the only kind of plans related to reading that I started to make for the new year. Otherwise, I really don't. I am going to still keep following SPFBO and see what comes out next year. I am very curious and very excited to keep following this competition. It's so much fun. So next year, by the end of the year, I will probably also have read a lot of other SPFBO books. But otherwise, I don't remember if there are even book releases that I'm waiting for next year. Probably some sequels, like the finale, the last book in the trilogy of The Empire of the Wolf by Richard Swan. The cover was announced recently and it looks really cool and I can't wait to finish that series. But I don't see that as a reading plan necessarily. It's just like I'm going to read a lot of books. This is one of them. But that's pretty much it for reading channel Patreon plans that I have for 2024. And I think that's it for this video. I think it's the shortest video I've ever filmed, probably, with still talking about a lot of things. But these questions don't ask me about books that I have read. So we're going to have to wait for the actual end of the year. Not end of the year, this is the end of the year. The actual like best and worst books of the year to talk about the ones that I have read. And I'm very excited to talk about those. I'm probably going to film them on like January 1st or 2nd so I can get the video out soon because I know that a lot of people start putting best of the year videos in December without waiting for the December books, which is fine, but I cannot do that. I have to wait until I read all the books that I'm going to read in the year to film my best of the year video, and I'm very excited to film that one. And the worst books of the year. It's always a lot of fun as well. So let me know if you have already started making plans, reading plans for 2024. I'm very curious to know what people are already planning for next year. Am I forgetting something that maybe a really big release that's coming out or something that's happening in the book community next year that I should keep an eye out for? So what are your reading plans for 2024? I really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye!